Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Afifah Azzahro. In this video, I'm going to answer 5 questions related to TEFL methodology subject. The first question is, please mention and explain briefly the components of communication process. Communication is the process of sending and receiving information so that it is easily understood between two or more people to achieve specific goals. There are several components to the communication process. The first is context. Communication that takes place must see the context before it's done. For example, consideration of atmosphere, environment, and so on, so that there is no misunderstanding between the giver and recipient of the message. The second is the sender of the message. The sender of the message, or the communicator, who is the source of communication. A communicator must understand the target audience, have a clear message, and understand the desired results. The third is message. It's important information conveyed by the communicator. By message, sent can be verbal or non-verbal. The fourth is channels or communications media. The choice of communication media will determine the success level of communication, such as using print media, television, and internet, and so on. 5 is recipient of the message. Without the recipient of the message, there will be no communication process. And the last is feedback. Communication will take place more effectively if there is feedback from the recipient of the message. There is feedback as evidence if the message giver then retrieve for the information. The second question is, why do humans need a language? Because humans as a social creatures, of course, and always communicate with other humans. Humans need language as a means of communication. Language plays an important role as a means of communication in human life because human language can interact with each other and talk about anything. The third question is, please give your opinion about the periods, Dutch periods, Japanese periods, and independence periods of English teaching in Indonesia. Which one do you think the best English teaching period? In the Dutch period, English has become a compulsory subject for students, so that in this era the teaching of English is very well developed. During the Japanese period, in this period, the teaching of English didn't develop at all, because Indonesian was used as a mandatory language in this era, making it difficult for Indonesia to accept foreign language. Independence period, 1955 present. At the beginning of independence, the teaching of English was not yet developed because it was still influenced by Japanese teaching methods. At the beginning of independence, there was also no dictionary in English translation. In 1959, the educational situation began to improve slowly. Learning books and dictionaries in English translation has begun to exist so that they could help the process of better English development. Nah, in my opinion, the best period of teaching English was in the Dutch era because at the time the teaching of English was prioritized so that students could speak, write, and communicate while using English. The third question is, in your opinion, what is the status of English compared to Indonesian nowadays? English is an international language. Of course, everyone wants to master the language. At present, the status of English is more interested than Indonesian. However, there are still many mistakes in applying English. One of the inaccurate application of English as a language, the second or supposed in daily communication among Indonesians occurs in early childhood education. In this decade, many junior level schools offer fully speaking English or learning facilities using the fully English language of instruction. Saying this, it is not wrong to present this facility in the syllabus or curriculum for children education. What needs to be evaluated is that at this level, it would be better for a child to be introduced to a foreign language, not to instill the foreign language into the mother tongue of the child. Now, the last question is, Please explain briefly about the function of English in Indonesia. The function English of Indonesia. The first is economy and business. Mastering the English language can bring many benefits to anyone intending to become a businessman. As a businessman who wants to start a business, of course, we have to equip ourselves with communication skills. By understanding English, it will be easier for us to communicate with anyone. The second is international relation. English is a global language for societies that will progress and develop. They are the people who must be able to speak and explore English. English has the same purpose, which is to make it easier for us to communicate with people from different countries. The third is media. English serves as a very broad communication medium and has even become an international language. The fourth is education. English is very important in education because English is a very useful subject in communication. The fifth is communication. English is very useful when abroad because the language used at the time was English. And the last is international travel and security. English is the language used when we travel abroad. English is needed so that when communicating, there are no misunderstandings. I think that's all. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.